Latina Voices is proudly sponsored by United Airlines, the official airline of Latina Voices Smart Talk. Goya Foods. When it's Goya, it's got to be good. And Fiesta Mart, serving you since 1972.
A show about universal topics with a Latina point of view.
Latina Voices Smart Talk.
Today on Latina Voices Smart Talk, we'll talk to Greater Houston Partnership CEO Jeff Mosley about the future and how Houston's standing helps the rest of the globe. Also, the woman who is breaking barriers for young Latinas involved with the Girl Scouts USA, Ana Maria Chavez, became the first Latina to lead the Girl Scouts in 2011. She gave her first keynote address as CEO at the Girl Scout Conference here in Houston, Texas, recently, and we talked to her about her journey to the top. Hello everyone, I'm Minerva Perez and welcome to Latina Voices Smart Talk, a show about universal topics from a Latina perspective. With me, my co-host, Texas super lawyer Sofia Adrogué, and our guest host today is author and business coach Laura Lopez. Ladies, and welcome, by the way, to Latina Voices.
So much. I'm excited. You know, the first time I really got to know Laura, I heard I had to meet her, and then she was kind enough to donate for a Girls Inc. luncheon, her book. And it was really a gem because if you read it, and we've interviewed her about it before, of course, she talks about the life balance, success at life, work, at home, and how you can ostensibly make it happen. How do you make it happen? What are the gems from your connected and committed leader?
Well, I fundamentally believe that leadership happens in all aspects of our lives. In fact, you need it as much at home as you do in the office. And so one of the things that I drew from was learning about parenting and then applying those insights back into the workforce. And I found that I had great results.
And it happens in both places.
It happens in both places. Absolutely. And so when people say, well, you have to be the top dog to be a leader, I say, no. Anytime you have to influence anybody, you need leadership skills. Whether you're managing a contractor or you're working with, your honey-do list for your spouse. You need to show leadership skills and people will be more willing to help you out.
Is the fact that, or the challenge for many leaders, especially in the workplace, is it the fact that they don't know balance, that they don't know how to influence, as you say?
I think influence is a huge one because most people think that it's about command and control, that you have to show that you're the boss in order for people to get things done.
I know people like that.
I think we all do. But really what I learned in my research was that the more effective leaders were ones that actually pulled back a lot more and allowed other people to come forth to the conversation.
So there's buy-in.
So there's buy-in, absolutely. And so that you could draw from the differences of everybody on your team. And that's the way you influence. I mean, if you think about it for yourself, when do you want to help someone out? When you're pushed off to the side or you're invited in?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. That makes a lot of sense.
I need to reread her book.
I know. But what are the main three things, or the keys to being a connected and committed leader?
Well, first is about being vulnerable. Being able to show people who you are inside and out, meaning that you've got to be transparent as a leader.
That's interesting.
We don't follow scripted robots. We follow people that we connect with on a human level. So that's
vulnerable.
So being vulnerable. The other one I think is being receptive. Being receptive to the ideas and the viewpoints of others, even when we don't agree. And that's the challenge. And then I would say the last one is being compassionate, because connection, it's all about connection. And you think about, how do you form relationships? How do you build trust? You have to do that with compassion. You have to meet people where they are.
Wow.
And so it's taking command and control and turning it on its head, because I think these insights are counterintuitive to what people believe.
Okay. All right. Very interesting stuff. Thank you. We'll talk more about that in a minute. We're back with more Latina Voices Smart Talk in a moment. Don't go away.
Since 2005, President and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, Jeff Mosley, has stewarded the helm of one of the biggest and most significant chambers of commerce in the United States. He is Houston's primary business advocate with the chamber. He knows the damage to the U.S. economy and alternatively the global economy because of the Great Recession. He and his team are using a strategic plan calling for high goals by 2015.
Houston and Texas stood and continue to stand as beacons in the darkest days of the economic slump. And thanks to Jeff Mosley's steady hand, Site Selection magazine twice named the Greater Houston Partnership one of the top performing economic development groups in the country.
Jeff, welcome to Latina Voices.
Thank you so much for being here. And let's take the bull by the horn, shall we? Houston especially, but Texas also, are being revered all over the world. I was just in Paris, and Greece's debt crisis obviously was at the top of the agenda in news. And they mentioned Texas and how well it's done. Why are we doing so well as compared to the rest of the world?
Isn't it fascinating? Here's Texas. Our statewide gross state product is somewhere around 1.2 trillion, which is about the same size as Mexico's GDP.
Wow.
Of that area, Houston and our 10 county is 400 billion. So about 1/3 of the state's economy is right here in this massive, vast metropolitan area that we call home. $400 billion, which is about the size of Belgium, Saudi Arabia. We have a lot to be proud of in our economy, but not the least of which is our business-friendly climate.
Yes.
One of the biggest contributors to Houston particularly is that we do not have zoning. So a small business, an entrepreneur that's looking to get started can come here and without having to go hire legal counsel can set up a business because the zoning is not a part of our city DNA. And a lot of times we kind of forget that makes this a very affordable community, and so the word's out. A lot of folks are voting with their feet to come here. The reality of it is that we have a very strong foundation. In the 80s, we were really a one-horse economy, primarily oil and gas.
Energy.
Now that's even evolved into energy, from oil and gas to energy.
Right.
And of the $400 billion, about 45% of the economy is energy tied. So we've grown jobs, high-paying jobs in healthcare, as kind of symbolized by the Texas Medical Center. 95,000 professionals go to work every day in the Texas Medical Center, more square feet in the Texas Medical Center than downtown Los Angeles, for goodness sakes.
You know, I did not.
The number two.
Just
I
a
mean,
TMC.
we prepared and read, but he's even coming up with I know what it is. You've got special gem statistics that only
Guilty
you
as
will
charged.
provide
Guilty.
if you're interviewed. You know, and what's interesting about Jeff and his trajectory is he was at the state of Texas advocating for development in Texas. But then you obviously chose to come here. He's also previously was a county judge, so you could be anywhere and everywhere. Why Houston? And then more importantly, how do you think it's indicative of what a community coming together can do nationally?
Well, Houston is a fabulous, world-class global community. This is where the future is. We were the last ones to go into the recession and the first ones out of the recession. We lost 121,000 jobs. Today, we've made up about 95% of those jobs. So that when you talk about being a model for the national economy, our phone is ringing. People are calling saying, what is it about the Houston economy? We know it's not by mistake. We know that there were decisions made. There were city elected office holders, there were state elected officials working together to make sure that we have the infrastructure, we have the highways to get goods to market, we have the mass transit, we have the investment in the port, which is why we're here, right?
Biggest
the Port
trader.
of Houston,
Yeah.
the ship channel. Now, the rest of the story, Texas, 30 years from now, let's look over the horizon. Our state doubles in population from 25 to 50 million. For the Houston area, we gain the population of Los Angeles. We have 6 million today. We add another 3.5 million. So every day, all of us as city leaders, what you represent as voices in the community, we should be thinking about the Houston that overnight, we know how quickly 25 years goes by, adding the population of LA. What does a global community like Houston look like adding this kind of demand for services?
People are coming here by the droves
Yes.
to Texas. Big business is coming here as well. I mean, they're leaving California to come
Yes.
here. A lot of them, I understand. What is it about the jobs that are being created, and which jobs are being created?
Immediately and today, we're seeing tremendous job growth in the energy sector, not the least of which fracking is causing tremendous job growth in the Houston economy. We know that when the healthcare issues start to settle out and there's more certainty that Texas Medical Center and the health cluster will continue to grow jobs. There is uncertainty as we work through the future of NASA, the Johnson Space Center, another one of our crown jewels.
Yes.
But aerospace is a tremendous employer for our area. Let's never forget, Houston is an extremely high-tech city, probably one of the top 5 in the world if you look at the technology that you have to drive upstream, downstream, the Texas Medical Center, Johnson Space Center, run the port. We use a tremendous amount of technology, so this is a very high-tech city.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you talked a lot about how the zoning, impacted the growth. What are some of the other factors you're seeing that really drives the growth of this economic engine that we see that other countries, not just the U.S., could take advantage of globally?
That's right.
Well, one of the beauties of Houston is our affordability. A few years ago, the New York Chamber did a questionnaire, and they said, what does it cost to be middle class? In Manhattan, $120,000 a year. In the Bronx, $85,000 a year. In LA, $75,000. Chicago, $65,000. Houston was $45,000 a year.
Wow.
Now, that's a strategic advantage. We call that quality of place. But that doesn't escape decision makers when they're making decisions on the cost of doing business and locating new jobs and expanding and even staying here and retaining and growing their jobs. They look at that affordability. That also comes about by the fact that we have a strong workforce. We're very international. We have a huge advantage on other countries because of our consular corps, 94 consulates, with 23 of those to Latin America.
Which
Of
is
course.
huge. I mean, that's indicative of
We'll
what other
take that.
foreign countries
Right,
think about
right.
Houston.
So when we talk about international marketplace, a global gateway, and then in 2050, we're the only city that lays over 2 mega regions. One of those mega regions will be the Gulf Coast. So think of New Orleans as a suburb of Houston. And then, well, 2050, okay, we're thinking 2050, right?
Wow.
And the other suburb of Houston becoming San Antonio, Dallas, this triangle. Houston is, with 2 of these mega regions, we're the only urban area in America, 2050, where these 2 mega regions intersect. Port of Houston, of course, being a gateway to these mega regions.
And the proximity of Mexico and Latin America, just at our doorstep, basically.
Wonderful trade partners. NAFTA has served the Texas economy and the Houston economy perhaps more than any other state. Texas, the #1 exporting state in America, eclipsing California more than a decade ago. And Mexico is a strategic ally. This statistic is not widely known. I think it's kind of quiet, but the Port of Houston serves Mexico in a very big and important way. More tons coming into the Port of Houston than all of the tonnage combined of the Mexican ports serving Mexico. Wow. So we have a very huge historic tie. We're closer to Mexico City than we are to Washington, D.C.
Absolutely.
Culturally, we share more with Mexico than we would say Boston or San Francisco.
Yeah, the Northeast.
And we have very strong ties to the Mexican economy.
Wow.
Oh boy,
We are
do you
standing
now
tall.
understand why he's an advocate?
No kidding.
I thought I wanted to live in Hong Kong after yesterday, but now, welcome back to Houston, Texas. You gave me new energy and excitement.
This is very good news. We thought it was good news, but this is really good news. So thank you so much for being here, Jeff, and imparting all this information.
Don't go anywhere
that
else.
Everybody
You
needs to
cannot
go.
leave Houston.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after this. Ana Maria Chavez recently made headlines when she was named the Girl Scout USA's first Latina CEO. She officially took the reins at the Girl Scouts National Council session and 52nd convention in Houston, Texas. Ana Maria takes the helm at a critical point in the organization's 100-year-old history.
The Girl Scouts' 19th chief executive was blazing trails before the big announcement. Yale educated with a JD from the University of Arizona, the lifetime Girl Scout, also served as the CEO Girl Scout of Southwest Texas and as Deputy Chief of Staff for Urban Relations and Community Development for then Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano.
As the new leader of the century-old organization, Ana Maria takes over the agency, goes through transformational changes that will carry on its legacy and urgency around girls' issues in this new century with the new focus to attract Latinas to its fold.
How exciting!
Yes.
Fabulous.
This is such a big announcement that you became president and CEO of the Girl Scouts USA. How will you take this organization forward?
Well, it's a great opportunity. The Girl Scouts of the USA is 100 years old next year. A lot of great history. We've done a lot. We've had 50 million alumni in those 100 years, and they are everywhere. You can't go into a neighborhood, a business, without finding somebody that has some connection to the Girl Scouts. So I think the next 100 years will hold, at least in my tenure, for the next few years, we will be really talking to the external world. I think we do a great job talking about Girl Scouts and people who know us, who may be part of the organization. But for those individuals that may know us for our cookie program, we really want to tell them and talk to them about the relevance of our organization.
For decades, the Girl Scouts has been known for its cookie sales, but today it seems like it is known for leadership skills.
Absolutely. And of course, I completely embrace our cookie program. It is the largest entrepreneur program for girls in the country. They generate the opportunity to increase their reach because through the cookie program, they derive revenue which they then invest back into their community. I think, part of our focus, it will continue to be, we are the premier leadership development program for girls in the country, and I would argue the world. And I think that everybody enters our organization with a different perspective, a different desire. And so our goal is, again, to capture their voices and allow it to continue to be a girl-led organization.
Tell me about the Girl Scout USA's Latina campaign.
First of all, we've been a very inclusive organization from the very beginning. Our founder, Julie Gordon Lowe, back in 1912, started the first troop of girls in Savannah, Georgia. What's interesting is in 1922, the first troop of Latina girls was formed here, actually in Houston. I don't know about you, but my family, my mother wasn't a Girl Scout, my grandmother wasn't a Girl Scout. So when my best friend came to school one day and said, "I'm going to be a Girl Scout, this is so exciting," I was like, "I want to be one too." Not really understanding what it meant. I knew it was an organization that worked with girls and gave them opportunities, but the more we discovered the opportunities in Girl Scouts, my parents said, absolutely sign you up. And so it has been a wonderful experience for me, both as a girl and as an adult, and I'm really trying to focus our movement as an organization on reaching not only more Latinas, more African American girls, more Asian girls, more girls that live in rural communities, and actually overseas. We serve girls overseas as well.
What countries are you in now?
We're actually in over 90 countries because, as you know, we have U.S. military installations across the globe. So these girls are moving with their families abroad so their families can serve our country. In addition, there are a lot of U.S. companies that have international locations. So they're going and also going to move with their families abroad. And so we, of course, are wanting to keep that connection of their Girl Scout experience.
When you were named, the first thing I heard on the news, and I'm a news person, was the first Latina CEO of GSA. Does that bother you when that is put there before your name, the first Latina, Ana Maria Chavez, or is that a sense of pride?
Well, absolutely, it's part of me. I'm very proud to be Latina. I'm also proud to be a mother, a wife, a lawyer. So I come to this position with a different skill set. In addition, because I'm a working mother, I completely empathize with the issues that are impacting families today and sort of how you juggle time commitments and how you invest your time and your child's time in organizations that you may want to belong to. So again, I'm very proud that I'm the 19th CEO of the Girl Scouts of the USA. I'm only the third CEO to come from what I would call the field, from leading a local Girl Scout council, and I'm the second from Texas. So, very proud to be part of that history.
Was this post a dream come true or something that just evolved naturally?
Well, I think it evolved naturally based on my passion to serve. When I was a Girl Scout, we really got into the issues in our community through our community service projects, and it really gave me the energy and the ganas, really, to really think about things outside of my community and what impact I could make. So I'm proud to come from a family of public servants, and I've been in public service all my career, and so this seemed like a very nice next step to continue that public service, but also to focus on youth development.
When I was a Brownie and when I was a Girl Scout, I was never more proud when I wore the sash and the badges. Is there still a sense of pride now?
Absolutely. Any woman that I've talked to who was a Girl Scout, the first thing she'll say is, I still have my sash, I still have my badges and my pins. And I remember the first time that my troop leader took me camping. I remember the first time I sold cookies and how nervous I was, but I was able to raise money to help people in our community. So anytime they talk about their Girl Scout experience, they just light up. And I'm hoping that, again, we have more opportunities. Yes, we're serving over 2 million girls right now, but imagine if we could, 50% of the girls in this country were Girl Scouts. And it's just a pipeline for more leadership.
Girl Scouting is not what it was when you and I were in Girl Scouting. What are the challenges today?
I think some of the challenges for us also bring opportunities. As we start our 100th year anniversary celebration, we're out there talking to community members, talking to potential donors, that it's time to really invest in girls in general. And we're looking at an opportunity to expand our philanthropic reach, and that it's important to invest in them. Because when you're investing in them, they will most tend to turn back and invest in others. In addition, the girls want opportunities that sometimes they can't self-support through their cookie program and their cookie revenue. So I think the local communities will also have an opportunity to engage in that process. I think the other challenge is, how do we reach more girls and volunteers? We can go out and recruit 50 girls tonight, but if we don't have adults that will step up and volunteer to help support their leadership journey, we can't continue to serve those girls.
What will be your message with the first keynote address here in Houston? And it's so appropriate that you would do it in Houston, where the first Latina troop was.
Sure. Well, not to give a preview, but I think the message will resonate with the other messages here at our convention. We only gather every 3 years as a movement, so this is significant. It's our 100th anniversary kickoff. We were coming together. I think part of the message is, imagine if we're not just serving 10% of the girls in the United States. Imagine if we're serving 50%. What would that look like? Imagine if, the first thing that pops into people's minds when they're thinking about girls and the issues impacting them today, that they think about Girl Scouts first and what role they can play in those solutions. And so I'm really excited to share that message about energy around our organization. This is the time to go out and really talk about, yes, the 100 years of achievement, but imagine what it's going to look like in the next 100.
She was also recently named one of Hispanic Business Magazine's 100 most influential Hispanics. Exciting.
We'd like to thank you for joining us on Latina Voices Smart Talk.
We'll be back next time with more interesting topics that matter to all of us and sure to pique your interest.
For Latina Voices Smart Talk, I'm Minerva Perez. Don't forget to join us on Facebook.com/Latina Voices and, of course, LatinaVoices.com. Until next time, stay smart, everybody.
Latina Voices is proudly sponsored by United Airlines, the official airline of Latina Voices Smart Talk. Goya Foods. When it's Goya, it's got to be good. And Fiesta Mart, serving you since 1972.